As the tolling of church bells across the United Kingdom fades, silence falls on the House of Commons. The Speaker rises solemnly to begin a mass outpouring of grief from the nation's politicians in a marathon parliament sitting set to host 10 hours of tributes, interrupted only by King Charles I's first speech to the nation. The Queen is hailed as the woman responsible for the UK being the nation it is and the greatest world leader one former Prime Minister has ever known. Live updates: King Charles III delivers first speech since the death of the Queen. She came to the throne, at just 25, in a country that was emerging from the shadow of war, Prime Minister Liz Truss says. She bequeaths a modern, dynamic nation that has grown and flourished under her reign. Truss harks back to the monarch's promise, on her 21st birthday, to dedicate her life to service. The whole house will agree, never has a promise been so completely fulfilled, she says. Read more: as King Charles III takes the throne, big changes lie ahead for the royal family, but former leader Boris Johnson's is perhaps the tribute that speaks best to the mood across Britain. It's a powerful, personal moment to describe his and the nation's grief. In a pre-recorded interview with the BBC, Johnson was asked to speak about the Queen in the past tense and it was too much for him. "I simply choked up and I couldn't go on," he says. "I'm really not easily moved to tears, but I was so overcome with sadness, that I had to ask them to go away. And I know that today there are countless people in this country and around the world who have experienced the same sudden access to unexpected emotion." Read more: details of royal period of mourning announced. Johnson continues grappling with the Queen's role in the hearts and minds of the nation, saying the shock is keener for bringing an understanding of the full magnitude of her achievements. "I think millions of us are trying to understand why we are feeling this deep and personal and almost familiar sense of loss," he says. "Perhaps it's partly that she's always been there, a changeless human reference point in British life, the person who all the surveys say appears most often in our dreams, so unvarying in her pole star radiance that we have perhaps been lulled into thinking that she might be in some way eternal." Another former Prime Minister, Theresa May, shares a tribute that is both heartfelt and heartwarming, a tribute to the Queen's mischief and joy as much as to her dignity, grace, compassion and warmth. Calling the Queen the most remarkable person I have ever met, May recalls a picnic at Balmoral catered with picnic hampers from the castle, when she dropped cheese onto the ground. "I had a split-second decision to make," she says, to raucous laughter. "I picked up the cheese, put it on the plate and put it on the table. And I turned round to see that my every move had been watched very carefully by Her Majesty the Queen. I looked at her. She looked at me. And she just smiled. And the cheese remained on the table." Among the tributes, One Eye to the Future, a tribute to King Charles III, timed almost perfectly to coincide with his plane lifting off from Aberdeen International Airport to take him and Queen Consort Camilla back to London. "We join together today not just to say goodbye to sharing our mourning but to say something else important. God save the King, because as one era ends, so another begins," Labour opposition leader Keir Starmer says. King Charles III has been a devoted servant of this country his entire life. He has been a powerful voice for fairness and understood the importance of the environment long before many others. As he ascends to his new role, with the Queen Consort by his side, the whole house, indeed the whole country, will join today to wish him a long, happy and successful reign.